Join us every Wednesday for InFocus, a weekly talk show produced by the St. Kitts Nevis Information Service, where we provide exclusives with key persons within the government and discuss pertinent, relevant, and interesting matters that affect us all. Tune in every Wednesday, live on ZIZ Radio and streamed live on Facebook at SKNIS Media and ZIZ Online. InFocus, your government, your business.
I'm Ian Richards. Welcome to InFocus, a weekly program where we zoom in on what's happening within and throughout the government, your government. March 8th is internationally celebrated as International Women's Day. In 2023, women have made significant gains in breaking through the glass ceiling. Internationally, the number 2 person in the United States, the country often considered as leading the free world, is a woman, Vice President Kamala Harris. And in Taiwan, St. Kitts and Nevis's closest diplomatic ally, Tsai Ing-wen is the first female president. Here at home, we have Her Excellency Dame Marcella Liebert, serving as the first female Governor General. Women are leading in various roles throughout the public and private sector and have flourished in roles largely dominated by men. Joining us today are 2 females doing exactly that. We'll speak to Lieutenant Zenra Ferdinand, the only female officer in the regular corps of the St. Kitts Nevis Defense Force, and Patrina Pereira, President of the St. Kitts and Nevis Robotic Association. And later, the Speaker of the National Assembly, the Honorable Lenine Blanchett, will join us. Have a question for our guests? Post it in the comments section on YouTube or Facebook as we delve into your business, your government.
I want to take this opportunity to shout out all of the women of the Federation and to thank you for your work and contributions in keeping our society moving. It is with your contributions that we've been able to make such progress in our homes, in our communities, in our private and public spheres. So I want to thank you and encourage you and give you a special shout out today, especially as we celebrate International Women's Day 2023. Thank you.
That was a greeting by the Minister of State responsible for Gender Affairs, the Honorable Iseline Phillip. Of course, if you would have caught the debut edition last week, the Minister was one of our special guests. Well, today, as we mentioned, we have women who are leading in roles that are largely dominated by men. Lieutenant Zenra Ferdinand and Patrina Pereira, welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Lieutenant, let's start with you. As we established earlier, you are you are the only female officer in the regular corps of the SKNDF. What motivated you, first of all, to join the St. Kitts Nevis Defense Force?
I attended the Washington Archibald High School, and there was a cadet program instituted by the St. Kitts Nevis Defense Force, and I stayed from the balcony of 4th and 5th Form. And I looked over and I saw them and I said to myself, hey, well, this looks fun. You know, they were drilling and discipline was on par and everything. And I said to myself, I think I can do this. I think I can be a part of this. And I never said anything to anyone. And one day I was at home, and this was in 2014. I already graduated from the Washington Archibald High School. And my mom came home with a application form, and she said to me, Zena, what do you think about joining the military? And I said to her, I want to do it. I really want to do it. No, my mom is a nurse, and I always thought that having the best of both worlds would work for me, because I always wanted to be a nurse as well. And I spoke to one of her friends. Her name is Karen Crawford. She was also part of the military. And I spoke to her about joining, and she said to me, hey, you can do it, go for it. And I said, well, I want to be a nurse and I want to be in the military, so why not? And so I said to my mom, hey, let's do it. So I signed off on the application form, she submitted it, and that began my journey as part of the military.
And when you saw the cadets practicing drilling, were there any women who were involved in that?
Well, it was a class, so yes, there were women. I think it was second or third form, but I was in either fourth or fifth form at that time. So I wasn't able to participate, but just to look on.
So that gave you added confidence then?
It did,
All
definitely.
Right. And Patrina, tell us, you are the president of the St. Kitts and Nevis Robotic Association, as we established earlier. How does it feel to be the president?
Well, I'm very elated. I did not expect it when I first joined the team, but the other team members and Dr. Neil thought I would have best suited the position, seeing my background in high school and through primary school, where I would have been put in leadership roles, and my various teams and stuff like that were able to, be on top and excel in several competitions. So they thought I would have been best, and I'm very happy and honored to hold the position.
Right, so then tell us what got you involved in robotics. You referred earlier to your background in leadership, but what about the technical aspect of it?
Well, growing up, I was always a daddy's girl, so I would be underneath my dad, and he would be fixing cars or boats and other several stuff. And one day while scrolling through social media, I saw the robotics team, and they looked like what they were having fun and stuff like that. I was like, hey, I can do this. I know how to do technical stuff, and being exposed to IT in high school, this is something that I would be interested in, and I just decided to sign up free-handedly, and surprisingly, it worked out for me.
Mm-hmm. And what year was this, when you were schooling and found out about the team?
2020. Well, I found out about it in 2022 during the COVID, when I saw them online, and I signed up in 2021 for the 2021 competition, which was virtual.
Okay. Lieutenant, let's get back to you now. You gave us a bit of a sense of why you wanted to join the force, but tell us about the recruitment aspect of it. Were there any other females in the course with you?
Yes, there were 4 other females on basic training and training in Guyana, because I did officer training in Guyana. We had approximately 8 females, however only 3 was able, including myself, to pass off on that training.
Okay, and was there a special bond that was formed between the 3 ladies that were on the course?
Yes, definitely. Up until today, we are very close. As a matter of fact, I did my junior commander and staff course back in Guyana just because of the networking and the relationship that we have, and they were on it as well. So yes, we do have a bond, definitely.
Okay, and in terms of the training aspect of it now, as we discussed earlier, there was 3 of you. Were you treated any differently from the men? Because of course we know that the training is very rigorous.
No sir, definitely not. Everybody we added, along with the males, we had to carry our M16, we had to roll in mud, we had to carry our own weight basically, so there was no differences really. I mean, you might find that someone will say, hey, there are no females within the military, because of course it's a male-dominated environment, and so we had to do every single thing. Run, physical fitness, we had to do it. If we were given 5 seconds to eat, we had to do it just as the males, so there were no difference. There were no special treatment, nothing. As a matter of fact, when I was in Guyana on officers training, I was deployed to an island by myself along with about 4 other males, and while I was there, female things happen. And I had to improvise. I couldn't say, hey, I need to get off of this island, or I need to get away from this training. I had no choice but to improvise and get something done in order to care for myself. And I did everything that they did, regardless.
So question, were you able to bunk in the same area as the men, or were you separated?
No, I on that island or overall?
Overall. We know up at the barracks, of course, at the camp, that women will be separate, but when you're out in the field, and especially like you mentioned, that island overall?
No. If we are out in the fields, everybody's in one central area. If we, well, like I spoke about on the island, all of us, we slept in the same area. As a matter of fact, we did our basho and everybody slept on it. And when we had to deploy to, let's say, another campus, we had our separate rooms. Male had their own rooms, female had their own rooms. So once we're out in the field, there is no separation. Everybody stayed together, of course, for safety and security as well. But once we are on a base, then, you know, we separate the males from females.
So with the real world experience of being out in the field and bunking with men essentially, is that uncomfortable for you?
It is not. I grew up thinking that I can do everything a male does. And I have examples where my mom, she's very dominant, and you can basically say that women in my family, they are dominant as well. So I would say I breed that. And so I really had no issues at all.
Right. Okay, and Patrina, let's come back to you now in terms of you being the president of the association. You said that it was recognized by Dr. Neil, and they felt that based on your background and leadership that you would make an excellent leader. Yeah. Did you feel the same way?
At first I shied down from the role, especially because of the fact that I had no idea as to what robotics really entailed, but they were like, no, Patrina, you can do this and we'll guide you along the way, so go for it.
So was there an election or something, or basically it's an appointment?
Yeah, there was an election. They actually voted, and I happened to get the most votes, and Dr. Neil thought that, well, the votes show, and with his opinion also, they decided that I would be the president.
Okay. And what does being president mean exactly?
Well, the role entailed basic leadership. I had to communicate with the team, make sure that everything flows properly, delegate roles. I had to do a bit of every single thing, and, you know, overall just make sure that everything runs smoothly, keep the group informed as to what is happening, what's next, and stuff like that.
Okay. And is it something that you enjoy? You mentioned that you shied away from it.
I do enjoy it, to be honest. I do enjoy it. I do have a kind of a shy spirit, and because it was mainly people that I didn't know, and as I said, I feel I wasn't sure about, I guess that would be the reason that I shied away at first, but overall I did enjoy it, and they made it an environment that I was comfortable in.
All right. Okay. Well, an interesting question I'd have for both of you is the ratio of persons within the St. Kitts Defence Force, male to female, and also on the robotics team. But we'll get to that question right after we take this quick break. We'll be right back with more In Focus.
Today, it gives me great pleasure to join women all across the world and here in St. Kitts and Nevis and the women members of the St. Kitts and Nevis government in celebrating International Women's Day. Embracing this year's theme, as a Minister of Sustainable Development, Environment and Climate Action and Constituency Empowerment, I want to join the global call for greater gender equality in climate action. We recognize that the climate crisis is not gender neutral. What does that mean? Women and girls experience the fallout of the climate crisis more acutely than men. Women and girls depend on natural resources more so than men. Therefore, women and girls will feel the negative impacts of the climate crisis. There is therefore a need to embrace gender equality as we move towards greater action in response to climate change. We have to do this not just for women and girls, however, but for everyone, for a safer and secure and climate-proof future. Thank you.
Welcome back to In Focus. You just heard from the Minister responsible for environment, the Honorable Joya Clark, as she spoke about, you know, the importance of the environment and the role that women plays in make sure that it is kept in a sustainable way. And we continue our conversation now with Lieutenant General Ferdinand of the St. Kitts Nevis Defence Force and Patrina Pereira of the St. Kitts and Nevis Robotics Association. So, Lieutenant, before we left, we spoke about the ratio of men to women within the organization. What does that look like for the St. Kitts Nevis Defence Force?
I can give you by percentage. For the St. Kitts Nevis Defence Force, we have 20% females. However, it's an anomaly for Coast Guard base. Why? Because Coast Guard base has 80% females. Yes, opposed to the infantry in managerial roles.
Any speculation as to why that might be so? That's very interesting.
It goes based on rank structure, basically. We find that at Coast Guard we have females who are in, higher rank structures to fill that managerial role, rather than in the infantry where you would find most males dominantly, overpowering the females.
Right, but overall you said 20% within the force itself. Your thoughts on that? Something you'd like to see improved?
Yes, of course. I think that we can look at, improving the numbers of females within the Defence Force. As a matter of fact, I had a, off-the-record conversation with my commander, and I said to him, I need someone to pass the baton to. I need a sister within the organization, and he sanctioned it. He said, yes, I definitely agree. And so that is something that we will look forward to, or can look forward to, in the near future.
How do you think the numbers can be improved to attract more women into the force?
Advertisement, education, because we can basically demonstrate what our females do in terms of work ethics. We have some females who are part of the engineering department within the organization. We can demonstrate that we have females who does everything that males do in terms of patrolling, in terms of field work. We have females who are filling offices as well. And for example, myself, I can also be used as a tool for education and advertisement, because as you said, I am the only female in the regular corps. And that in itself, it speaks volume, in the sense where, hey, there are other females who can do it just as I did.
Right. And Patrina, let's talk a bit about the St. Kitts Nevis Robotic Association. What's the ratio like from men to women?
Well, I would say that there is approximately about 40% females on the St. Kitts Nevis Robotics Association, especially to the fact that it's open to everyone. And over the years, we have seen several females opening up and deciding that, hey, this is something that I want to be a part of. Despite I may not, just like me, I may not know much, there's a lot of interest, and as the world is revolving around technology and stuff like that, I would like to know more about what is happening around me. So overall, I would say that the amount of females coming in is very good, and even on the robotics team itself, throughout all of the years, there has been at least one female on the team. So that shows a lot throughout.
In St. Kitts and Nevis.
Yes.
But what about when you travel overseas? You would have attended competitions overseas. I understand, of course, that the first one might have been virtual.
Yeah.
But can you give us a sense of the representation of women on other teams?
On other teams, when you go out there, surprisingly, there are a lot of females. There are teams that are only female teams. There are teams that have a half and half ratio between male and female. So you really don't see any kind of differentiation between gender or anything like that from different countries.
So you're seeing an all-female team. What does that do to you?
Well, it just showed me that us as females, we are capable of possibly anything, and especially in the technology field, it is something that we can do. There is nothing that is too hard for a female to accomplish.
Mm-hmm. Do you recall which country that would have been?
I believe it was Team Hope. They had an all-female team.
Which country, do you know?
They did not have a direct country, but their team on a whole was called Team Hope.
Okay. And in terms of your travels now, because we just spoke about the fact of you're seeing the different teams, where have you been?
Well, last year, during the 2022 competition, we traveled to Geneva, Switzerland. And previous years, 2020 and 2021, they were virtual because of COVID-19, as we know. But however, 2017 and the other years coming up, they would have traveled to Washington and Dubai and Mexico. Yeah, so it's really touching different aspects of the world. We get to experience different cultures and stuff like that.
Right. Okay. Lieutenant General Ferdinand, let me come back to you in terms of something that you said earlier in terms of getting more women involved in the St. Kitts Naval Defense Force. I would have had occasion to professionally work alongside Val Henry during an assignment, and she singled you out as someone who inspires her as the only female officer in the regular corps. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel wonderful because I'm able to make a difference. You know, and as long as I can make a difference, then I mean, I can basically go about with the support and also support other females, and I have a strong support system. So with that support system, and I am making a difference to her, I mean, it's a good feeling, you know. It takes me through every day to know that someone is actually looking up to me. I'm inspiring someone. Someone is saying, hey, I might not be able to have the strength to go through this day or go to work today, but I look up to this person and, you know, she's there, so hey, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna, you know, have her support, I'm gonna look up to her in terms of role model, she's here, I'll be here, and I'll continue to do what I have to do.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but you have a 2-year-old daughter, that's correct?
Yes, I do.
Right, so then you have a responsibility then, based on what you're saying, the way women look up to you now, to help to be a role model for her, set a perfect example. Well, not a perfect, because we're all human beings, but set a good example, of course. So how are you preparing her to face the world?
Mr. Richards, my daughter she behaves like a male. Sorry to say it like that, but she behaves like a male. She's very dominant. She says what she means, and she's able to articulate at the age of 2. And what I tend to do, I continue to speak into her. You know, I pray a lot as well, and I have very praying women in my life, and so once I continue to speak into her life, then, you know, she's able to understand that, hey, there is a God who I can look up to. Added to that, I teach her principles and values and let her to know, hey, at the end of the day, you can do this. Because sometimes she would cry when she has to do something and she thinks that it's hard. And I would just encourage her and tell her, hey, look, even though she's 2, I speak to her. I don't say, oh, mama said, you know, some persons will speak. No, I speak to her and I let her know that, hey, you can do it. Relax, there's no need to cry, you just keep trying, and that's something that, you know, I continue to do, because I wanted to know that you have the strength, you can do anything, like everyone, even a male, and you'll be fine.
Is it difficult juggling the role of mother and officer of the St. Kitts Naval Defense Force?
It is not so much difficult, because I try not to take work home. I think that you should always have peace of mind, and I really think that mental health is very important. And so what I tend to do is I try my best to finish all my assignments at work, and when I get home, it's our time. You know, I have time enough to take care of her, give her all the attention that she needs, and if there's anything that I need to do where her education is concerned, because I would have, you know, small classes with her. She's growing, and at this peak in her life, you know, she picks up on everything. So I use that time when I get home to go through everything with her, talk to her, give her my utmost attention, and devote everything to her. When I'm at work, I leave everything for work, except if it's necessary for me to take work home.
Right. And Patrina, you also do a juggling act as well. You are a technician at Ramada, and of course you are a student at the St. Kitts, well, at the college, Fitzroy Bryant College. So how do you juggle both roles?
Well, I had to learn, because I know that finishing my degree at college is something that I have to do and I want to do, and also I wanted to make an income for myself, so I had to learn and adjust. At work, I would do what I have to do, and at first there was a challenge in terms of me leaving work, because sometimes I tend to get trapped in what I'm doing. There was a challenge in terms of me leaving work, where I had to say, hey, Patrina, you can finish this later, you got school to go to, because that's important just as much as this is. So over time, it just became a natural thing for me to just do both at the same time.
And what are you studying at CFBC?
I'm actually studying information technology. I'm doing my associate's degree.
Right. And are there any other women on the IT team down at Alma Mater?
No. It's just me.
Lonely? You're lonely?
Yes, only female.
Right. Okay. Well, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to hear from the Deputy Prime Minister, who is the Minister responsible for Gender Affairs, and we'll be right back.
As Senior Minister for Gender Affairs, I take this opportunity to wish all women happy International Women's Day under the theme Digital Innovation and Technology for Gender Equality.
If you haven't done it as yet, please do it today. Subscribe to our YouTube page at SKNIS Media for regular updates, live coverage, and even more information on your government. While you're at it, like, share, and interact with our Facebook and Instagram pages at SKNIS Media and SKNIS Info.
Welcome back to InFocus, and we have just 2 questions left for the guests who are with us right now, Lieutenant Zenra Ferdinand of the St. Kitts Nevis Defense Force and Patrina Pereira of the St. Kitts and the Nevis Robotics Association, and of course Pereira is the president there. So 2 final questions, as you mentioned. First off, as persons who are accomplishing, flourishing in the roles in fields that are dominated by men, what's your advice for females who are out there and trying to pursue goals as well? Do they have the ambition?
My advice would be to experience your own experience. And this is a mantra that I would use coming through my career. And when I say experience your experience, you have to do it. You have to just do it. Sometimes someone would say, hey, look, don't do it because, this is going to happen, that is going to happen, it doesn't make sense, why are you doing this, you don't have to, and your experience is totally different from mine. And I would encourage anyone, advise anyone, go for it. It's your experience. You have to know what you want from your experience. You have to know what the experience means to you. You have to know, hey, this experience did not work for me, so let me try another route. Sometimes we get caught up in what people invest in us in terms of negatively invest in us, and we take it and we run with it. You have to make a positive change for yourself, and your experience should be your experience, not someone else's.
As for me, I would like to tell females, just like me, to go for it. Despite you may walk in a room filled with males, we must remember that what makes us unique is the fact that we are actually females, and we have the ability to do anything that we put our minds to. So use the ability to, reach your goals and dreams, and do not shy away from these opportunities.
And as mentioned at the top of the program, March 8th is International Women's Day. Patrina, let's start with you. What does that day mean to you in particular?
Well, International Women's Day, for me, it is a day that empowers women and helps us to embrace who we are and understand that who we are doesn't exactly makes us different, but it makes us unique in a way that is somewhat out of this world, I would say. And we must remember that being a female is who we are, and we must embrace it fully.
For me, it's a voice for women who feels intimidated, or women who feels that, hey, I don't want to do it because a male is here or a male is there. And it, like she said, it empowers women. And that is something very important, because as long as there is a woman on a team, things will change. The dynamics of everything will change, because women, we are creative. We are just as knowledgeable as males. We have ideas. We have inspirations that will change the world. And as we could see, things are happening. And so today in itself, it's, trust me, I appreciate Women's Day. I really do, especially for women like myself. Female soldiers, females in capacities where male are very dominant, and you know, sometimes we might think that, oh, a man is in charge so I can't do anything. No, this day is for us and everyone else, the disabled, everybody. So it's an amazing day. Thank you. It's amazing.
Right. Thank you, ladies. It certainly was a pleasure to have you both on the program. Well, we'll be right back with some more In Focus, and joining us will be the Speaker of the National Assembly, the Honorable Lenine Blanchett. Stay tuned.
If you haven't done it as yet, please do it today. Subscribe to our YouTube page at SKNIS Media for regular updates, live coverage, and even more information on your government. While you're at it, like, share, and interact with our Facebook and Instagram pages at SKNIS Media and SKNIS Info. If you haven't done it as yet, please do it today. Subscribe to our YouTube page at SKNIS Media for regular updates, live coverage, and even more information on your government. While you're at it, like, share, and interact with our Facebook and Instagram pages at SKNIS Media and SKNIS Info. If you haven't done it as yet, please do it today. Subscribe to our YouTube page at SKNIS Media for regular updates, live coverage, and even more information on your government. While you're at it, like, share, and interact with our Facebook and Instagram pages at SKNIS Media and SKNIS Info.
Welcome back to In Focus. Joining us now, as promised, is the Speaker of the National Assembly, the Honorable Lenine Blanchett. Madam Speaker, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Richard.
What does it mean to you, Madam Speaker, to be the first female Speaker of the National Assembly in over 10 years, and that would make you the third female Speaker within the history of St. Kitts and Nevis?
Being the third female Speaker of the National Assembly is a humbling experience. I am honored to have been selected. I am now in a position, in my estimation, whereby I can use the platform for a greater good and demonstrate that women are just as capable, and I intend to do that throughout my tenure.
So you are a lawyer by profession.
I am.
Did you aspire to be in Parliament?
I have never considered being a parliamentarian an aspiration of mine. I've always intended to practice law, and I've always served. So not necessarily serving in the capacity of being a parliamentarian, but my aspiration generally outside of my career goals would have been to serve my community.
So can you tell us a bit then what it was like when you received notification that you were being chosen and considered to be the next Speaker? What was that like for you? What went through your mind?
Funny story. I said, no, I don't think I can handle it. I said, why not Deputy Speaker? And I think for me, the thought process then was that I haven't seen many women in that space, nor have I seen anyone as my age. I stand to be corrected, but I think I am the youngest Speaker to have been elected to the National House of Assembly. However, my 23-year-old sister said, what is the difficulty? Take on the challenge. And I think in that moment is when I made a decision to say, accept the challenge and, you know, man up to the role.
Right. And how have you found the role?
It has its good days, it has its challenging days, but it is generally one of the best experiences that I have had throughout my life. It is a challenge that I have readily accepted, and it has been an ever-learning experience.
Are there any takeaways as you function in this capacity that you would have taken away from your two female predecessors? And of course, we appreciate that the first one would be Ada Mae Edwards. That was
Before
some
my
time
time.
ago. Yes, it was a bit some time. But any takeaways that you carry with you today?
Yes. One of the takeaways that I have received from Her Excellency Marcella Liebert is to reach out whenever there is a need to do so. Don't doubt yourself. You can do it, and if it is that you need help, you have a community that's willing to assist.
Mm-hmm. And so you preside over the Parliament of St. Kitts and Nevis, and of course, that is where laws are made.
Yes.
Now, the Deputy Speaker is also a female.
Yes.
That's a powerful symbol.
Yes, it is. And I also always mention the clerk. So you have 3 powerful spaces that are occupied by women. Myself, the Deputy Speaker, Jones, as well as the clerk, Ms. Stapleton.
And so we see 3 women being in prominent positions within
Yes.
the Parliament. How do you think that this would help women to be better in St. Kitts and Nevis?
It helps them to think beyond where they are. It gives them a sense of aspiration, to tell you you don't necessarily have to dream small. You can dream big, and it is also a demonstration that we are just as good as our male counterparts, and so we shouldn't necessarily shy away from these positions.
Right. And it's important that as you wield the power within the Parliament, as we would say, that you're also fearing it. That's an important part.
Indeed.
Right. You talk about the importance of being fair, so that, you know, persons may not say, oh, well, the Speaker is biased towards one side or the other, but that the Speaker is fulfilling her duties
Yes.
as a woman who is someone that is fair.
Yes, and I think you have a guide, you have the standing orders, and if the standing orders are followed to the letter of the law, then you would indeed be fair. It may not find favor with one side or the other, but as long as the standing orders are being followed, then you will indeed find yourself being fair.
Right. And so what's your advice for women out there who are someone who's looking at this interview? What would you tell them?
Dream big. Dream big and never shy away from a challenge that may seem daunting. Follow your goals and understand that you can take up space and you have a right to do so.
Right. And as we asked the previous guests before you, of course, International Women's Day is celebrated on March 8th. A lovely brooch, by the way.
Thank you.
Tell us, what does that day mean to you?
International Women's Day is trifold for me. Firstly, it is a day where women are recognized. It is important that women are recognized in their various roles and capacities. We are the giver of life, and so most things start with the woman. Secondly, appreciation. It is a day where women are appreciated, and it is placed on the record internationally, worldwide, that we are of value. And lastly, International Women's Day provide a worldwide space to raise awareness as it relates to gender equality, gender parity, gender discrimination, and what we can do to have ourselves fall in line with the greater good.
Right. All right. Speaker of the National Assembly, the Honorable Denise Blanchard, it was a pleasure having you.
Thank you for having me as well.
All right. And we also thank you for viewing at home with us. We appreciate your company. For now, we are me and Richards, and we trust that you will join us for another edition of In Focus next week at the same place, same time. I'm Ian Richards.
For me, being a woman is a superpower. On this International Women's Day, I wish to take this opportunity to say Happy International Women's Day to all the amazing superheroes who serve in the Ministries of Labor and Employment, as well as those in the Ministry of Tourism and International Transport. Our ministries would mean nothing without the contribution we make daily as women. Your courage that exists in perfect harmony with the amazing tenderness on a daily basis is appreciated. Happy Women's Day to these strong, intelligent, talented, and simply wonderful women. Thank you.
Join us every Wednesday for InFocus, a weekly talk show produced by the St. Kitts Nevis Information Service, where we provide exclusives with key persons within the government and discuss pertinent, relevant, and interesting matters that affect us all. Tune in every Wednesday, live on ZIZ Radio and streamed live on Facebook at SKNIS Media and ZIZ Online. InFocus, your government, your business.